Hello, my friends and fellow VEDSies. It is day 13, and I'm in college. Now, that's not really a important or even unexpected revelation about myself. I talk about it fairly often in my videos, but it's especially relevant to today because I am completing a challenge by Spartanite67 to give my tips and tricks for college. Now, obviously, all of the other VEDSies have either graduated or are going to soon graduate college. I'm a sophomore, so they all probably know a lot more about this than I do. But I was challenged, and so we'll see what I have to offer. Who knows? Maybe this will bring back some fond memories. Now, this is technically a top 5 list, as in there are 5 items, but it's not really ranked. None of these are necessarily more important than the others. Alright, so starting off the list is tip number 1, be social at least once a day. Now, I know college is super hectic and crazy and people are always running around and always stressed, and so you're probably thinking it's not always feasible to have a big event or to make plans every day. But by be social, I don't necessarily mean make plans or even do something with the same person every day. I literally mean talk to humans in a friendly manner at least once a day. It could be that kid who sits in front of you in class who you actually get along with, and so you go study for your test after class. It can be running into your friend at Starbucks and sitting with them. It can be literally just hanging out in the lobby of your building playing cards with somebody. It doesn't have to be a lot, but actually interacting with people outside of your basic schedule makes you feel a lot more like a human being and makes you feel a little less, shall we say, waving through a window. I really don't think any of you will know that reference, but if you do, you're my favorite. Tip number 2, don't skip meals. Now, money and college, I get it. But if you're paying for a dining plan, you better use it. You will feel better, you will be healthier, you will have more opportunities to socialize, and you won't be wasting money if you're using it, because most meal plans, I know, don't give you money back for meals that you haven't eaten. So use it. Tip number 3, keep up on laundry and hygiene. Now, this is the one I'm probably the worst about. I don't do my laundry nearly as often as I should, and I usually am okay with hygiene, but I sometimes cut corners like shampoo. But this is the most important thing. Well, maybe not the most important, but it's a pretty big deal. Because again, it's part of that whole feeling like an actual human being thing. If you don't feel clean and you don't have clean clothes, it's significantly harder to wear things that make you feel good, to, look good, to make a good impression on people, to just not feel greasy. Tip number 4, get to know people outside of your department. Now, again, you may be thinking, why the heck would I want to get to know people who aren't in my department? People in my department are like me. I want to know more people who are like me. I spent all of high school feeling like people didn't get what I was talking about. I want to have those relationships where people understand what I'm saying. And believe me, you should have those relationships in your department, in your major, with people who are in the same classes as you and have similar interests to you. But you also have to have relationships with people who are different from you. They don't have to be close relationships, but you should still be able to talk to people who have different viewpoints and who have different interests than you. For instance, I've got this friend, Zach, who is currently in England on foreign exchange, but he's a neuroscience and psychology double major. Put that in perspective, I'm a theater major with an education minor. We have nothing in common based on our academic interests. But what we do have in common is a more life philosophical lens type of thing. And we're able to have intellectual debates and to challenge each other or to explain things that make perfect sense and you'd never need to explain to someone in your field, but people outside of your field aren't going to know. People who don't do theater don't necessarily, most likely, don't know what blocking is, what a stage manager does, what a house manager does, how Tech Week works, and anyone who's not a psych major isn't going to know the details of the Stanford prison experiment. It's just not really what they're going to be doing with their time. And people need to be able to communicate their interests and ideas with each other. And so being in a more diverse setting like college is the perfect place to practice explaining and exploring your perspectives and interests with people who may not necessarily have the same interests. And who knows, you may convert somebody. I know it happens. I have a friend who was a psych major last year. He's Corey in Fences at a professional theater for $700 now. Tip number 5, find a balance between work and play. I'm putting them both in air quotes because what counts as work and what counts as play differs depending on what you're doing. Like, for a theater major, being in a show might be more work than if you're not a theater major, if that's not what you're studying. And if you are an accounting person, being the treasurer of a club might be more fun, it might be more stressful than if you weren't in that position where this would be something very important for your resume. And so you need to find a balance between what's fun, what's career building, what's going to go on your resume, what's just to get stress out. For instance, last year I had a mandatory first year experience class. It could have been really boring, but I took a class that was music and film. I don't talk about it much, but I do have a passion for film. And so I got to geek out about Meet Me in St. Louis with my professor, and nobody else had seen the movie. But for me, I had that as a very fun, very low-stress class. I knew a lot of the terms already. I knew a lot of the films we were talking about already, and so I could just enjoy and explore, and instead of being stressed about analyzing a scene from Casablanca, it was, oh boy, I get to watch a scene from Casablanca. Whereas to other people, that was work, that was hard, that was something they needed to be good at. I don't need to be good at watching Casablanca. It's not essential for what I want to do with my life. It's just something I kind of like. So finding that balance is especially important because it keeps your sanity. you don't have much of it. You gotta keep what you have. You gotta have things that you do that are just for fun, for memories, for doing stupid shit with friends. And I'm also going to throw in a bonus tip because a top 6 is a dumb number, but I couldn't think of enough for a top 10. If you see that there's going to be free food, go to the free food. And I'm also going to throw in a bonus tip because a top 6 is a dumb number, but I couldn't think of enough for a top 10. If you see that there's going to be free food, go to the free food. It's not that they don't have the time, it's that they don't want to, and it's a wasted opportunity. The ticket's free. The event is free. You just show up, and you listen to people talk, and you make small talk, and possibly meet some new people who you might like, you might hate, you never know, and you get food. I'm getting free shrimp fried rice tomorrow because I paid attention and decided, yeah, it's worth the talking. It's worth dealing with a couple more people than I would have to deal with normally. And so those are my tips for college students. If anybody here who's watching is actually going to college now or is soon going to college, I hope this was helpful for my fellow VEDSies. I hope this brings back some memories, and I'll see you tomorrow.